Hello, friends. It's Phil Grant with Baird Warner and Crystal Lake, welcoming you to another edition of the Real Estate Minute. This is, of course, where we talk about all things real estate, be it buying, selling, or leasing, be it commercial or residential, really in the hopes of helping you to make a better, more informed decision when real estate matters come up in your world. We hope that this beautiful June day finds you and your loved ones safe and healthy and well. Today, I thought we'd take a minute to look at the commercial side of the business. And I happened to see an article on one of the websites that I use, which is SREXI. It's a commercial website. And they talk about 10 tips to know when you are getting ready to sell your commercial piece of property. And again, keep in mind that there are a number of different segments to the commercial world. You have the industrial segment, you have the retail segment, you have office space segment, you'll have multifamily segment, you'll have commercial land segment. So there are a number of different types of property that fall under the umbrella of commercial. But again, I thought we'd take a look at the first 5 steps today that you need to know about, and then we'll take a look at the next 5 next week. First one that they talk about is determining the fair market value of the property. If you do not hire a professional like myself to value the property, you could be overvaluing it or you could be undervaluing it. And we don't want really either one of those two things to happen. So again, what we'll do is we'll take a look at the comps just as you would in a residential case. But commercial properties tend to vary a little bit more than the residential. And oftentimes there are specialties and peculiarities with the commercial piece that you don't have in the residential world. So number one, let's put the right value on the property. Number two, they talk about ordering your title report. And again, I will give you a caveat that some of these things can be done by other people. For example, this could be done by your attorney as the deal gets further down the road. But again, this is basically a legal document which outlines the ownership of the property. And again, this is going to be important as the deal goes on so that the buyer of the property knows that there are really no defects on the title that is going to affect how they are going to be able to use that property. So title report, again, could be ordered by your attorney down the road, but that's going to be one step in the process. Number 3, they talk about updating environmental reports. Now here, again, this really kind of becomes property type specific. Generally speaking, if you are selling an office building or if you're selling a retail store or retail space, may or may not get involved in environmental reports. I have seen some retail properties where that is indeed an issue. But basically the environmentals, if you have environmental reports now that are more than 6 months old, this is certainly something that is going to come into play. And again, basically what you're looking at here is 2 different types of environmental reports. There's something called a phase 1, which is where the people that are doing this report are going to research the property to see if there is a need to go on to what's called a phase 2. And a phase 2 basically is where they will actually come in and do soil borings to see if there is any environmental issues on the property. Of course, this will come into play primarily, again, if you're an industrial owner, and for example, if by chance maybe you had underground fuel tanks, that's going to come into play. They want to make sure that that's clean. If you're selling a gas station, obviously they're going to want to make sure that that's clean. If you're selling, say, a body shop, even a laundry or cleaners, those are all things that may come into play. Now, just to give you an idea, if you look at the typical cost for a phase 1, you're probably going to be, let's say, in the range of $1,400, maybe up to $4,600, $5,000, somewhere in that range. Again, just depends on how complicated the subject property is. Then if a phase 2 is necessary, you could look at potentially $5,000, $8,500. I mean, there are cases where it could go up to $25,000. So this is certainly something not to mess around with, and it's something that you need to be aware of. Again, in a lot of cases, this is going to be ordered by the bank of the buyer if indeed there is financing involved. So there are a couple of different ways we can approach this. Number 4 is getting all of your paperwork ready. Again, I can't tell you how important it is to have all your T's crossed and your I's dotted when it comes to your paperwork. Let's say, for example, that you're selling a mixed-use building. Maybe you've got tenants up on top and maybe you've got real commercial spaces on the bottom. Uh, an estoppel certificate is going to come into play there, and what that is basically it's a legal document with one party stating facts that will benefit the other party, which indeed most normally is the buyer of the property. And again, basically what they're saying there is that if you have John Doe living upstairs in one of the apartments, John is going to say, yes, my name is John Doe. I have a lease on this space for X amount per month, and the rent is paid up to date at this point. So again, you're going to want estoppel certificates from all of your tenants that are involved, and also rent rolls. If you've got you're selling maybe an apartment building, maybe it's a 10-unit apartment building, you're going to want to have the rent rolls ready so that the potential buyer is going to be able to see everything that is involved from a rent standpoint. And again, you're going to want to, while we're on paperwork, you're going to want to be able to provide your realtor with the expenses that are currently in play and the income if this is an income producing property, because then your realtor is going to be able to generate what's known as a cap rate, and that is going to be a very, very good indicator of what that property is worth. So again, be ready to have all of your expenses, all of your income, if it's an income producing property, ready to go there so that your realtor can do that. Lastly, number 5 is creating a service vendor list. This would be a very, very good move on your part to be able to show a prospective buyer, indeed, who your service vendors are, HVAC, things like that. When were they last looked at? Are they operating the way they should be? Have they been cleaned and tested recently? But if you can provide a service vendor list to your potential buyer, again, that will be a feather in your cap. So again, this is a quick look at 5 of these 10 tips. We will take a look at the other 5 next week. So I hope you can join us for that. In the meantime, thank you for watching. Stay well. Keep your family well. If you need any help with commercial property, reach out to the Real Estate Problem Solver at 773-814-5369. Be happy to come over and talk to you about what we can do. Again, thanks so much for watching. Take care. We'll talk to you soon.